Syrian President Bashar Assad strongly criticized Turkey, attributing the escalation in violence within his war-torn nation to Turkey's actions. He emphasized the necessity of Turkish forces leaving Syria. With support from Russia and Iran, Assad has successfully reclaimed much of the territory over recent years, shifting the course of the conflict in his favor. Presently, Syrian rebels and opposition groups backed by Turkey retain control over a limited northwestern area, marked by ongoing fighting and unrest. Turkey stands as a primary supporter of armed opposition groups striving to oust Assad from authority. Since 2016, Turkey has executed 3 significant incursions into northern Syria, resulting in its control over segments of the region. Assad said, "Terrorism in Syria is made in Turkey." He refuted speculations about an imminent meeting with Turkish President Erdogan, even though talks have transpired between Turkey's and Syria's defense and foreign ministers, facilitated by Russian and Iranian mediation, to mend strained relations. Damascus asserts that Ankara must present a timeline for the withdrawal of Turkish forces from Syria for relations to be normalized. In May, the ministers consented to establish a roadmap aimed at enhancing their relationship. During the 2000s, Erdogan and Assad maintained friendly ties. However, as the conflict unfolded, Turkey endorsed initial rebel endeavors to overthrow the Syrian president. Erdogan's stance shifted in recent years as Damascus, with assistance from Russia and Iran, successfully reclaimed substantial portions of the territory previously seized by rebels at the outset of the conflict. Assad has consistently maintained that he will not engage in a meeting with Erdogan unless Turkish forces exit Syria, where they hold sway over segments of the northern region. Lately, Syria has taken steps to enhance its relations with certain nations that previously supported the opposition since the commencement of the civil war in 2011. In May, Assad attended the Arab League summit hosted by Saudi Arabia, signaling Syria's reintegration into the Arab community after more than a decade. However, the United States, a significant Saudi partner, opposes the normalization of ties with Damascus without a resolution to the conflict through political means. Since the onset of the war, certain Arab nations have held Syria responsible for the influx of drugs into wealthy oil-producing Gulf nations. The drug trade, valued at billions, has been a focal point in discussions involving Damascus within the region. As a response, Assad said, "The countries that created chaos in Syria are responsible for the drug business." Assad noted that a discreet dialogue between Damascus and Washington, initiated several years ago and intermittently ongoing, yielded no tangible outcomes. He asserted that Damascus has managed to navigate U.S. sanctions through various methods. One of the primary subjects under discussion between U.S. and Syrian authorities in recent years has been the status of Americans who went missing in Syria, including journalist Austin Tice, who vanished in 2012. A few years back, 2 U.S. officials, including Roger Carstens, the chief hostage negotiator, undertook a covert trip to Damascus to gather details about Tice and other Americans who were unaccounted for. This marked the highest-level diplomatic engagement between the U.S. and Assad's government in years, although Syrian officials did not provide substantial information about Tice. The conflict in Syria has resulted in the death of around 500,000 individuals, with over 1 million sustaining injuries. Vast portions of the country have been devastated, leading to the displacement of half of the pre-war population of 23 million. The fighting has largely reached a deadlock in recent years. Over 5 million Syrians have become refugees, primarily seeking refuge in neighboring nations such as Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan. A dozen years of conflict have also placed significant strain on Syria's relationship with the Palestinian group Hamas, which governs the Gaza Strip and was once a staunch ally of Assad's. The Islamist organization had its headquarters in Damascus prior to the conflict. However, in 2012, Hamas departed Syria after condemning the Assad government's harsh crackdown on protests. Last year, Hamas declared that it had reinstated relations with the Syrian government following a delegation's visit to meet Assad in Damascus. However, Assad mentioned that it was premature to discuss a full restoration of regular relations with the group.